you ready to go to Costa Rica? All right, all right. Well, we're going to take a journey to the remote mountains and rainforest in Costa Rica. And you're going to get to know two friends of mine that live there, Chacho and his wife, Yurlien. But it's not just a story about travel or Costa Rica. It's a story about how their lives have been changed. Now, all stories have a beginning. Do you remember when you were a kid and used to dream about what you wanted to do or be? You know, like an astronaut or a professional dancer or a pro athlete. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a surfer and I wanted to be a cowboy. But I literally wanted to be both of these things at the exact same time. I wanted to be a cowboy surfer. And then it happened. When I was 15, I saw this photo of this man on a horse sitting on this beautiful beach. And this photo was taken in Costa Rica. So in 1988, when I was 18, I finally made it there. Now today, Costa Rica is a very popular place. But in 1988, it is not where you went for your spring break. When you were going to the beaches, you were on dirt roads, you were crossing rivers, and you really did see more cowboys and cows than you did cars and people. So needless to say, I was stoked. I was hooked. So over the years, I kept going back, learning the culture and the people, and then I stumbled across a piece of land. Now let me tell you about this piece of property. Number one, it was 3.5 hours from the beach. Now that makes a lot of sense for a guy that's trying to surf every day. Number two, it was next to a volcano. Number three, it was in one of the rainiest spots in Costa Rica. Now I can tell everybody here is just standing in a line wanting to buy this property from me right now, but it gets better. Number four, you could not drive your car to get to this property. You literally had to ride a horse or take an oxen or walk in just to get there. And I used to sit around and wonder why none of my friends in my family ever wanted to come and visit. But this piece of property led me to Chacho and Yurlien. This is Chacho. For most of his life, he has worked with these beautiful, massive animals. These are oxen. In the mountains of Costa Rica, in the hands of a skilled trainer, they become your tractor and your truck. But let me tell you, it is very dangerous work. He is often walking backwards down steep terrain, so one slip and he's literally crushed by these 1,000-pound animals. This is his wife, Yurlien. What can I tell you about Yurlien? In all the years that I've known Yurlien, I've never heard her say a bad word, except what she calls me every day. She never calls me by my name. She calls me Bago. Does anybody here know what Bago means in Spanish? Okay, here's the lesson. Bago means lazy person. So literally, it's never good morning, Don. It's always good morning, Bago. So one day, Yurlien comes to me and says, Bago, Chacho can help you with this property. I said, great. He has oxen. He has knowledge. I needed both. But there was one small thing I didn't understand. Where Chacho works, that is where he and Yurlien live. Because he's not about to leave these oxen, which is his livelihood, unattended or unprotected. But the problem was, on this piece of property, there was no livable structure. There was this old dilapidated shack. But they said, Don, don't worry. We've got a friend of ours that's a carpenter. We can go in, fix this property up or this shack up, make it livable for a few months until our work is done. So I said, great. I had to come back home and actually work myself to make money to pay for all these smart choices I'm making in life at the time. So about 2 months later, I head back down to Costa Rica. I'm so excited to see Chacho and Yurlien. But what I did not know is that during that 2-month period, this part of Costa Rica had an enormous amount of rain. It was so bad that the carpenter could not get to the property with the oxen to finish the work. The first day I walked into that house, what I remember is there were no walls. Well, not in the traditional sense. They were literally using sheets of tin as makeshift walls. Now, that might be okay here, but we're talking about the rainforest. They had managed to build this cement stove that they would put wood in to cook rice and beans. But about 3 feet away from that stove was a makeshift commode, toilet, all in the same room. Now think about that for a moment. You have smoke, you have tin walls, you have a leaky roof, you're in the rainforest, and the bathroom is all in the same room. Well, I lived with them in those conditions for about a month. I wanted to complain every day. They did not complain once. In this part of Costa Rica, particularly many years ago, if you're poor, you have very little opportunity. And that really bothered me because I left a part of myself in that house or that shack. I really struggled with what to do. Was it money? Well, I didn't have any money because I put it all in this property that was next to a volcano, and I didn't think money was the answer. Their connection was to the land. So one day we had a conversation. I said, Chacho, Yurlien, why don't we start small, get a few dairy cows, and we'll get a bull. Now the bull is the man, the bull is a male, to accompany those dairy cows. And if they have plenty to drink and eat, and they go on a few dates, and we let nature take its course, we get a lot of free cows. The concept would be they learn how to make cheese from the milk, start a small business, they could sell this cheese in the local community, and they can have a livelihood. Well, they were ecstatic. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. And I knew that they would put every effort they had into this opportunity. If you were to come to the farm today, what you would see is that they own their own cows, they're making their own cheese, they have their own small business, they have a livelihood. Their lives have really been changed. But you'd also see my man Fabio. This is the newest addition to the family. Now, every morning, I'm going to tell you a funny story. Every morning, he has this blue cup. And inside this cup, he's got cocoa. You know, the hot chocolate type stuff. We grow it on the farm. It's called cacao. So he walks down to the corral with his blue cup, and he literally gets down on his knees and puts that blue cup on a stump and takes his little hands, and you know what I'm saying, puts them right on the cow and goes, shh, shh, shh. That milk goes straight from the cow into the cup, straight into Fabio. In Costa Rica, that's what we call fresh chocolate milk. But let's go back to the first day at the house. This story almost didn't happen. Now you might ask yourself, well, what do you mean, Don? If the circumstances had been just a little bit different, if I would have been a tourist or a visitor when I walked into that house and I saw Chacho and Yurlien in those conditions, if I'm honest with myself, I would have passed judgment before I understood the situation. I would not have believed in them to be capable of achieving all the things that they've achieved. And that is a very dangerous way of thinking because we're dealing with people's lives. One morning we were in the corral working, and I turned around very quickly, and I saw this little cow with her head stuck in a bucket. And I was pumped. I was like, this is great. I can use this photo to have a funny ending in my talk, make everybody laugh. But the more I examined this photo, something happened. I realized that I had spent a lot of my life just like this cow, with my head in a bucket. And it made me question or wonder, how many times have we all walked by a Chacho and a Yurlien and passed judgment before we truly understood? Look, I'm just a normal guy. I didn't plan for any of this to happen. I never dreamed that I'd be up here telling this story, particularly to 1,000 people. But what I do know is that I'm so happy to be the apprentice to a Costa Rican cheesemaker and his family. Thank you.